A new proposal in the California State Assembly hopes to fight a growing fentanyl problem among children. The bill, which is gaining bipartisan support, would require schools to carry doses of the emergency drug Narcan, which can counteract the effects of the deadly opioid fentanyl. The state health department says over 220 teenagers overdosed on the drug in 2021 alone. California's superintendent calls fentanyl overdoses the fastest growing cause of death among young people in the state. Joining us right now, one of the sponsors of the bill, California State Assembly member Joe Patterson. So good to see you, Mr. Patterson. So why is this the right solution, in your view, to address this growing health problem?
Well, frankly, I don't think we have very many parents who even know about this and how this can come about. But I've seen a growing number of people in my community that have been impacted by this drug, and it's all across the state and all across the nation. It's time to do something about it.
So if your bill does pass, Narcan would be available on more than 10,000 K through 12 campuses across your state, right? And so I would imagine that's going to be very costly. This, as California faces a budget deficit, how will this be paid for?
You know, honestly, it's really not that expensive. A dose of Narcan is about $22. And to arm every campus with it in California, you're talking about $1.3 million. But a school district in, just a normal sized school district, it's only a couple $1,000s. And that's a very, very small price. That's budget dust. That's what we call budget dust in California.
So you think it will be affordable? Every school district, every school would be equipped to have it.
Yes, I mean, with nearly a $300 billion budget, this is really a nominal cost for our schools. So I'm not really worried about the cost, to be honest with you. I'm more concerned about the lives. And I'm pretty sure, actually, a lot of school districts are already doing it. So they've already seen, hey, the value, it really doesn't cost that much. Let's go ahead and do it on our own. But there are a lot of schools in California that don't have it, and that creates somewhat of an inequitable experience for kids who don't have access to it.
So fentanyl related deaths have risen exponentially in California over the last few years. And in your view, why has there been such a dramatic increase?
Well, a lot of it is frankly the access to it and coming into our country, and I think also in addition, just recently there were 150,000 pills that came into this country and they were seized, and that's great. Law enforcement is doing everything they can do. But those two men were released without bail, and who knows where they're at now. But just the access and how easy it is to produce this drug, there's just too much access and too much availability out there.
California superintendent put out a statement recently about the crisis, saying, I'm quoting now, this is also a critical moment to intervene and help youth and families who are struggling with substance abuse disorders and those who are using drugs to cope with trauma, loss, or mental illness. So do you have any plans to help address the front end of this, the why there is so much use among young people, which ultimately might take their lives?
Yeah, in fact, this is only one of several measures that I'm going to introduce on fentanyl. But in my own local community, there's a program called One Pill Can Kill Placer. And it was unfortunately came out of some families who've been impacted by this, including one of my neighbors, Zach Didier. So we also must invest in education. There are other pieces of legislation that do that, but I'm a father of four myself, and I would know nothing about this drug if it wasn't for a tragedy that we had in our own community. And so I think just the education and getting the word out and what's going on is half the battle, and I'm committed to doing that as well.
So clearly this is, very personal for you. And I wonder, on a national level, do you feel like, the FDA is taking steps to, make some prescription drugs like Narcan, more readily available?
Yeah, there's currently a backlog, but one thing that I've seen that has been pretty amazing on the federal government side is that in a lot of these cases that are happening in California is actually the federal government will step in and prosecute the traffickers of this. And so I think the federal government is fully committed to also helping this problem everywhere in the country. It's not just California. We have issues all over the country with this, and I know that they're committed to it as well.
All right, Joe Patterson, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.